lot of you guys have been watching my videos for a long time. Remember a truck that my dad was working on a while back, and here it is. This is the blue 1984 Ford F-150. This is a base model, two-wheel drive, just a real, I know it's not politically correct to say today, but back in the day it was called a basic working man's truck. But here it is, and you can see the front end is missing. The front end is, oh, not just that, but the whole frame, and you can see as I pull away that there's a lot of pieces missing. Oh wait, there's the rear end. There's the bed. Now this truck may not seem too special to a lot of you viewers, especially those south of the Mason-Dixon line. And that's because these trucks were ubiquitous and they didn't rust out. This truck is from Maryland originally. And we're up in New England. You can see the snow on the ground. Trucks like this are basically extinct up here, and they're worth more in New England than they are down south because they're so rare and everybody wants these for various reasons. So this truck is actually quite special to see up in New England because, again, they're so rare. You just don't find anything like this anymore. If this truck had spent its whole life up in New England, not only would it not have cab corners, the rocker panels would be completely rotted out, and this one has never had rocker panel replacement work done. The doors would be rusted to the door handles. The bed would be totally gone. In fact, if this were a New England truck, it wouldn't have the bed at all. It would be what's called a stake body. It would have a wooden handmade bed. The only rust repair work my dad had to do to this truck was actually the wheel wells. They were rusting just a little bit. They were just a little pokey, but not too bad. He actually welded in a custom piece that he made himself. This was all cut out. He did all that himself. He's not a body shop guy, but he does have the ability to make stuff work. And this side had no rust, but you can see that it had, I think it was Z-Bart or one of those rust preventatives applied at the dealer. And whether it helped or not is hard to say because that stuff did not hold up in New England at all. Again, if this was a New England truck, it would be basically gone. So let's take a look at the rest of it. So here's the frame. Now, I think the last time I filmed this truck, it was, I think he had taken the bed off. I'm not sure how far he went into it. But this is the frame, and then the engine's over there. It's a straight six. I forget the size. I'm not good with Ford engines, but that's the original straight six motor. It's got the original 4-speed stick shift transmission. So this truck is basically unmolested, has never been modified, has never been restored. This is basically its time for rebirth at this point. This frame, again, this is a solid frame. You don't find this up here in New England. We did, actually, I helped them needle scale this back half of the frame. We were originally going to leave the cab on and just needle scale the frame and coat it with POR15 or something. But I think he did some of that already. Now, I needle scaled this from that cross member back. I did it all. It took me about 2 weekends. Bought the needle scaler for him, and I just went to town on it. And just to get rid of the scaly rust, there wasn't much. It was actually quite good. This is all solid steel. There is no rot to speak of anywhere. And this that you see here, this is, I think this is that POR15?
Yeah, that was the first time 2 years ago.
Okay. And so over here you can see that where the rust proofing was, is it over here? Yeah. So the rust proofer that they added at the dealer, it did protect. This is original frame paint here. And this is where the stuff had flaked off. I think it was a paraffin wax based material or something like that. Was that Z-Bar that was on the window sticker?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't Rusty Jones or something like it. But yeah, I mean, look at the body mounts. I mean, they're not even, in New England, this would be rotted out, wouldn't it? Yeah, completely. But look at the size of that transmission, though. I mean, that could fit in the glove box of my Hyundai. I mean, it's it's hilariously tiny. But you can see if it was fitted with an automatic, this tail shaft piece would be, bulkier. This would all be, it would take up a lot more space. But look at the size of that transmission. There's the bell housing. I mean, the transmission, the gearbox itself is between here and here. That's it. That's all there is to it. The rest of the transmission is bell housing and tail shaft. That's it. You can see the catalytic converters. We probably have to pull these out, put something in place of it. I'm sure these are no good. It's a carbureted 6-cylinder engine. I'm pretty sure these cats are probably hammered. The truck's got about 130,000 miles on it, as far as we can tell. We're pretty sure it's not 30,000. It's got a 5-digit odometer, so... Anyway, so this truck is, he's going to go through this. This is his new project. He already rebuilt that Triumph motorcycle that we saw earlier. This is his new project, and he's had this truck for 2-3 years now. He actually had it up for sale for a while, but nobody wanted to buy it in parts. And so I don't know what his plans are. I don't know if he's keeping it or selling it. But I cannot wait to see what this thing looks like when he's done. And I'm going to help him any way I can. I live farther away from my parents now, so it's going to be a little more difficult. But it is what it is. You can see that with the engine, body, basically everything removed, it's sitting like this. The wheels are angled outward. I believe they call that reverse camber, or negative camber. Positive camber. I'm not good with those racing terms. Anyway, so the frame is solid. I mean, we're going to keep it as a 6-cylinder truck. I think I've convinced him. I think he's convinced he's going to keep it as a 6-cylinder truck, only because it's an iconic. You are going to keep this as a 6, right?
Yeah, I'm going to put it back together as a 6.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. And there's the engine over there. It was a run. I actually drove this truck just before he tore it apart, and it drove pretty nicely for what it is. I think it had brake problems. Wasn't it like
the booster had a leak in the diaphragm?
Yeah, that's right.
Causing rough idle.
Yeah, so it had some massive vacuum leaks, and had an exhaust leak and something else. But it ran and drove. Can't wait to see this when it's done. And these wheels, you're going to keep those wheels, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just blast them
sanding them
black. The differential has been completely gone through.
Oh, you did finish that.
Oh yeah, the Barron's.
Okay.
Barron seals, pinion Barron.
Yeah. And you just got to put the cover and fill it up. And you're making new brake lines?
Yeah, all new brake lines. I took off all the lines, all the wiring harness just the other day.
I was going to say, something's missing.
Yeah.
And wiring.
Some of it's hanging there.
But I mean, you look at the hardware on the suspension. I mean, again, this is definitely a Southern truck. If it was a New England truck, it wouldn't look anything like this. In fact, it's hard for me to watch some of the videos from the... there's like Jay Smart is a YouTuber from South Carolina. And he's just a young kid. He works in a salvage yard, and you see the vehicles that they crush, and it's kind of gut-wrenching because those are vehicles we don't get up here. And even trucks like this would be just $1,000 shit kicker down there. Up here, this is a gold mine because a lot of hot rodders buy trucks like this, and they put, whatever motors they want in them. Transmission upgrades, rear end upgrades, or they jack them up and they turn them into 4-wheel drive mud boggers, and then they go to hell because they're not being cared for anymore. But a truck like this, up in New England in its original form, is a very rare sight. So some of you Southern people, you won't get that. You don't understand that. Understood. But up here, this is a very rare vehicle. And usually when you find trucks from the South and they get moved up to New England, people start daily driving them, and then they go straight to hell because the metals that they used back then, the rust proofing, the paints, they don't hold up very long, especially if they're 30, 40 years old. So a truck like this, if we were to just put it on the road, 5 years later, it's gone. So what my dad's doing here is he's sealing everything up, putting modern coatings in the frame and treating the body. It's getting a full paint job. It'll hold up pretty nicely. Well, anyway, I'll try to keep you guys updated.
Seat pressure.
Oh yeah, there's a seat over there. I'm going to cover that for him. We're going to bring it to my house, and I'm going to put he bought a seat cover for it. And what's interesting is it still has, and I think that's the factory build sheet for the truck on the bottom, but it's all rotted away. But that's the factory build sheet. That's where they would check off all the options that it would have been built with. Paint color, upholstery, transmission.
Did you see how it's assembled with the springs?
Yeah.
Like a bed spring.
Yeah.
Angle iron.
You know, modern seats aren't much different, but no, they are. They are. And I had to pull the seat on my Murano. I had to completely disassemble it to replace the frame, and it was built with basically a stamped metal pan to replace all these springs. So these are this bench seat is very comfortable to sit on. It's like sitting on a mattress. And the foam is still springy, so that's still usable. But yeah, that's incredible. All right, I'll be keeping you guys updated as he works through, and I'll catch you guys later.